Hey guys! So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I implement my productivity system in the Hobonichi Cousin. I use Leo Babauta's Zen to Done system, which explicitly incorporates the best concepts from other productivity systems, such as David Allen's Getting Things Done and Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Successful People. The full Zen to Done system comprises 10 habits, but Leo Babauta identified these 4 as the essential habits that form the simplest possible productivity system. He called this system Minimal Zen to Done. Because complicated systems overwhelm me, sometimes to the point of paralysis, I chose to stick with the Minimal Zen to Done system. So in this video, I will focus on only these 4 core habits. And if you're interested in the other habits, please check out Leo's blog posts and his ebook Zen to Done. I'll put the links in the description box below. Now, one caveat before we start, I hope that after watching this video, you don't go away thinking that I have the perfect system that works 100% of the time. That's not possible because I'm human and I suffer a great deal from motivational issues. And the system doesn't work. Any productivity system doesn't work when you are kind of not motivated to use it, right? I would say that this system works for me about 60 to 70% of the time, which is not great, but I still think that it is better having a system than not having a system at all or constantly implementing new systems that fail to stick. So I hope you would keep that in mind as you watch this video. So let's get started. So the first habit in the Minimal Zen to Done system is collect. Every day, lots of information come into our life, and this can take the form of ideas, tasks, projects, or reference information. So for example, my boss might send me an email asking me for an update to the budget while I'm working on some data analysis. Or I may be in a train when I suddenly have an idea for a YouTube video. We need tools to capture these pieces of information so that we don't lose them. I use mainly 3 tools: my Hobonichi Cousin, my Leuchtturm pocket-sized notebook, and a work notebook, which is currently in the office, so I can't show that to you. I use the Hobonichi Cousin when I am at my office or home desk, the Leuchtturm when I'm on the go, and the work notebook for meetings. If you're comfortable with it, you can use apps on your phone. You can even send emails to yourself or text messages to yourself, whatever you prefer. The mode is not important. What is important is that you use these tools consistently so that you start seeing them as reliable tools to capture incoming information. So that is the first habit. The first habit is collect. The second habit is process. So after you have collected all this information, you need to process them. Processing a piece of information means you have to make a decision on that piece of information. So for tasks and projects, the thought process goes something like this. So does this have to be done? If it doesn't have to be done, then delete it. If it has to be done, then you ask, does it have to be me that's doing this? If no, then you can delegate it. If yes, then you ask yourself, do I have to do it now? Or can I do it now? So if yes, then you do it. If no, then you defer it. You schedule a time sometime in the future so that you can attend to it. Now, that is for tasks and projects, but if we are talking about ideas or reference information, then the key question to ask yourself would be, is this useful? If it is not, then delete it. If it is, then you file it away somewhere so that you can refer to it in the future. Now, I typically collect and process at the same time. The moment I receive a task, I evaluate whether the task needs to be done, and if yes, it goes to my task list on the weekly spread. If no, I don't even bother writing it down. And the only exception is if the task comes in during a meeting. So in a meeting, I basically am trying to write down all important information. And then only after the meeting do I process the notes. Now for ideas and reference materials, I usually write the information in my cousin. So let's look at this, right? So for example, I wrote a bunch of stuff that I wanted to change for the next time that I teach. Then I titled this page, Things to Change for the Next Semester. And then I index it in the yearly index page in the Hobonichi Cousin. So I know that if I want to refer to the page in the future, I come to the index page, I find that information, and then I go to that page. I try not to delete any ideas because I think that even if the idea is not exciting to me right now, I still might be able to do something with it in the future. I also don't delete reference materials because I never know when I might need that information again. So that's the second habit. The second habit is process. The third habit is plan. According to Zen to Done system, at the beginning of each week, we need to sit down and decide on our big rocks, or the most important things we need to complete for that week. Then at the beginning of each day, we schedule in time for the 3 most important tasks we want to complete in service of the big rock. Now, this 3 may seem to be an arbitrary number, and I think Leo doesn't address this in his book, but I think the main point is to be aware that we need to prioritize amongst all the things that we have to do. So if we list everything as a priority or as equally important, then we will panic and feel overwhelmed. So this is why there is a 3 most important tasks, so that you are forced to prioritize amongst your multiple tasks. Now, I plan my work and my week and day the way that Leo suggests. So if you have seen my functional planning video, I will link it somewhere here, I guess. This would not be new to you. So at the beginning of the week, that is every Monday, I draw out the weekly template. I identify the priorities or the big rocks for that week, and then I schedule in my most important tasks in the schedule sections here. Now, of course, I get interrupted throughout the day, and it's frustrating because I don't get to even complete some of my most important tasks. Still, at the end of the week, I have the satisfaction of knowing that even if I haven't completed my big rocks, I have progressed somewhat on them, and often enough, that is enough for me. The final habit is do. And this is the key to a productivity system. You can have a really nicely structured system, but if you don't do, then the system doesn't work. The key to the habit is to work without distractions on a single task. So before you start working, clear your workspace of all distractions. You hide your phone if you must. Use website blockers if you need to, like stay focused. Turn off all email notifications, that sort of thing. Then you use the Pomodoro technique, where you set the timer for 25 minutes, focus on that task for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then come back to it for another 25 minutes. Now, if 25 minutes is too much for you, do 15 minutes, or even 10 minutes, or even 5 minutes. So, when I was working on my dissertation, which was a very painful experience, my dissertation advisor advised me to start with just 5 minutes for each session before progressively increasing the amount of time. So when she told me that, I remember I rolled my eyes at her and I said, 5 minutes is too short. Are you kidding me? But of course, she had a good point, as she always does. The point of setting the timer for that little bit of time is to help you build trust in yourself. So you can tell yourself, hey, I can focus 5 minutes without getting distracted. Now let's see whether I can do 6. Now let's see whether I can do 7. So if you had started off with 1 hour and you constantly fail to meet that goal of working on that task for an hour, you feel discouraged and very frustrated with yourself, right? So in doing this final habit, start with a time limit that you are certain you can handle and then work your way up. So how can you use your planner to help you? All right, so this is where I show you my bullet journal from last year. So last year, I was working very hard on my dissertation, and I had set myself a more or less modest goal of writing 2 hours on my dissertation. Right. So I started off with 18 minutes. No, I didn't start with 5 minutes. I started with 18 minutes, and every time I did a session, I recorded it down, and then I wrote encouraging notes to myself. So right here, I think I wrote, the key is self-compassion. Writing the dissertation is obviously a difficult task for me. Yelling at myself ain't gonna make it better. I think I did a good job this time around. So I wrote some encouraging notes to myself. Having a physical record helped with accountability to myself, and having these little snippets of encouragement helped me build trust in myself. So eventually, I stopped doing this because I no longer needed to do it, but it was helpful when I first started out. You can also write down the thoughts and ideas that pop up in your mind when you are working on a specific task. So maybe I'm working on some data analysis, and then the budget issue suddenly pops up in my mind. I'll take a piece of paper or even a planner and write down what I've been thinking about, like need to check up on budget, something like that, so that I know that I can attend to that task or the thoughts after my Pomodoro session, and that will be much less distracting for me. So that's it. It's a really simple system, but simple doesn't mean easy. If you're new to the productivity system, I would encourage you to work on one habit at a time. So you start with collect, the habit collect. You select a tool for collecting and then try to use it consistently until it feels natural to you. Then you move on to processing the information and so on. Implementing a new productivity system requires you to change your current modes of behavior, and change takes time. So be patient with yourself. If you have any problems or you need to talk to somebody, please drop me a comment or an email. I can't profess to know the answer to your situation or your problem, but I'm still happy to talk to you so we can see whether we can work a solution out. Now, I hope this video has been helpful. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I try to put up a video every week. I also post on Instagram 3 or 4 times a week on general topics. My current obsession is meaning in life. So I kind of post more about meaning in life nowadays. So if you're interested in those topics, please check out my Instagram account. The link is in the description box below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Take care and bye-bye.